Karen, sorry if anyone's a bagpipe lover, by the way, but just completely ruined your day. Karen, you have the mic. Over to you.
John chapter 12, verses 1 to 8. 6 days before Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those at the table with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet, and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of the disciples, the one who was about to betray him, said, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept the common purse and used it to steal what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She bought it so that she may keep it for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me."
Thank you, Karen. I want you to think of the one who you love the absolute most in the world. Your partner, a close friend, a relative, the cat, whoever, but it needs to be the most special one in your life right now. Got it? Are you there? Fab. Now don't start telling me that you love all of your children equally, by the way. I know that's a lie. It doesn't exist, right? We know that every parent has got a favourite, so if it helps you out, I'll just say the most special person right now. So the one who's upset you the least today. Now I want you to think about the price that you would put on that love. How that has fairly recently been replaced by the idea of buying an extravagant diamond engagement ring. And with that, in the past century or so, diamond companies have marketed that idea that a price of around 10% of your annual income should be paid for your engagement ring. That shows your love and commitment for the person that you want to ask to marry you. So let's go back to that person you were thinking about. Are they worth 10% of your annual income? Maybe 20% of your annual income? Maybe all of your annual income? Not just the money, but there's the struggle that you will face in meeting your other basic needs. Food, shelter. These diamond engagement rings that have become the modern tradition are clearly quite an extravagant way of showing your love. And I wonder if you've ever witnessed an act of love so generous and so extravagant that it took your breath away. Maybe someone gave you a gift that you knew had cost them deeply, not just in money, but in time, in thought, in sacrifice. Or maybe you've been the one who's given the kind of love, not worrying about what people might think, just knowing that it was the right thing to do. Air must have been thick with emotion, with gratitude, with wonder, and with tension. And in the middle of this meal, Mary does something shocking. She takes a jar of perfume, pure nard, worth about a year's wages for a labourer, and pours it over Jesus' feet, wiping them with her hair. Let's break that down a little bit. So nard was a type of oil that's mentioned in the Song of Songs as part of a poetry of love for the king. And so it's no coincidence that Mary chose this same oil, probably having come from as far away as India at the time, and known for being able to be preserved for centuries in its jar, in her act of love for Jesus. Now let's face it, perfume is far easier to get hold of today. It's mass-produced, it's sold in shops in every high street as well as in duty-free, in-flight magazines. And you've probably been to a perfume counter in Boots or maybe in a department store, and you get those little pieces of cardboard, don't you, to spray the perfume on from a tester. And you give it a little shake, and then you take a breath in to decide if you like it. But the problem is that once you smell 2 or 3 of them, your nose is just full of perfume and you can't distinguish between them anymore. Or is that just me? Do we all have that same problem? Yeah, there we are, fine. So imagine this scene for a moment. The smell of perfume in an oil that was worth a whole year's wages. That smell of perfume would have filled the whole house. Now, when I'm putting my perfume on, I tend to put the same amount on every single day. And if I accidentally put an extra couple of squirts on, it's noticeable straight away. But this wasn't just an extra couple of squirts of Jean-Paul Gaultier. You went to laugh there, by the way. This was a whole alabaster jar full of perfume. This is food and shelter kind of love. And also, in a time when women didn't let their hair down in public, Mary does just that. She kneels at Jesus' feet, touching them with her own hands and drying them with her hair. This is intimate. It's vulnerable. And it's deeply personal. And then comes along Judas. He's a bit of a party pooper generally, is our Judas. Voice of disapproval. Why wasn't this perfume sold for the 300 denarii and the money given to the poor? Which sounds reasonable at first, doesn't it? Something so expensive that's just been consumed in just a moment. Wouldn't that money have been better used for charity, for justice, for something practical? And Jesus is also a man of charity. But he also recognises that this is a sign of love, of Mary honouring her God and her King. John, in his writing, gives us a nice little glimpse, the bit in the brackets, a whole verse in brackets, gives us a little glimpse into Jesus' heart, that his concern isn't really for the poor, it's for himself. He's already stealing from the common purse, and Jesus sees right through him. This moment raises a powerful question for us tonight. What does it mean to love extravagantly? For Mary, it meant giving her most precious possession to Jesus and holding nothing back. She wasn't calculating, she wasn't thinking about what others would say, she was purely responding out of love. For Judas, it meant looking at that love and calling it a waste. And if we're honest, we often struggle with that very tension. world teaches us to be careful, to be sensible, to make sure we get a return on investment, or not to be in too much debt. But yet Jesus, maybe we fear looking foolish. Maybe we worry about what people will think. Maybe we struggle to believe that love given freely is really enough. But Jesus defends Mary. Leave her alone, he says. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. Mary understood in a way that no one else did what was coming. She knew that love needed to be shown now, not later. She wasn't waiting for the right moment. She wasn't waiting for permission. She simply loved. So as we get closer now to Holy Week, and Ruth is going to be with us next week for Palm Sunday, what does this mean for us? Maybe it means loving someone extravagantly, without keeping score, without expecting anything in return. Maybe it means giving our time, our presence, our gifts in a way that feels costly. Or maybe it means just sitting at Jesus' feet, offering him our worship, our devotion, and our whole hearts. Real love. Really extravagantly and without fear. And may the fragrance of that love fill not just this room, but the whole world around us.